internet's finest people, it's Adam again, tech editor at Gizmo China and photographer with Kung Fu Imaging. I'm here to introduce you to a new flagship phone from China's version of Apple. Has Xiaomi made an iPhone or Samsung Galaxy killer with its S version of the popular Xiaomi Mix 2, the newly released Xiaomi Mix 2S? Or is the hardware-software package not quite up to those lofty heights? When introduced in March of 2018 in Shanghai, Xiaomi made sure to showcase the capabilities of the Xiaomi Mix 2S compared with the top two flagships from the big boys. However, we're just going to go ahead and look more closely and rate the Mix 2S on its own merit alone. One thing I feel stands out at the beginning is the incredible near bezel-less screen design and ceramic construction. Although the general design of the phone hasn't changed much since last year's Xiaomi Mix 2, the gold edge dual camera is all new and definitely worth taking a look at. Let's jump right in and see what you get. When opening the box, the presentation is well laid out and even a bit fancy with a matte black box with shimmery lettering. Opening it up and you see a welcome message. Open up past that and you see the phone on the left with the included quick charger and USB to USB-C charging cable on the right side. Continue to open up underneath the phone and you'll find some paperwork and, yup, a USB-C to 3.5mm dongle as the Mix 2 series devices ditch the 3.5mm audio jack. It's a bit of an annoyance as the phone has no weather or waterproof rating, so there's little reason to remove the audio port other than following trends. We'll all be wireless soon enough though, so this is really just a minor adjustment. From first glance, this looks like a premium device. And it is. It also looks nearly identical to last year's Xiaomi Mix 2 in the front, with the 5-megapixel selfie camera on the bottom right of the phone, and almost no bezel. The ceramic housing with metal frame is truly one of the best looking phones I've seen, and the heft just feels premium in the hand. I've got a black version for review, and the device also comes in a nice shiny white model. The back of the phone is so smooth and definitely attracts fingerprints and smudges quite easily. My tastes are a little less flashy, so using the included matte finish protective case gets rid of that shine and the fingerprints, all while flattening the back due to the gold accented dual camera bump. I'm going to share more about that camera later in this review. With a somewhat compact body size of about 6 inches tall and 3 inches wide, and a minimal 8mm thickness, Xiaomi still found room for a massive battery. This battery is going to help the almost 6-inch 1080 by 2160 18:9 form factor, so widescreen IPS LCD screen with beautiful rounded corners. It's going to help it last as long or longer than many others with lower resolutions. Although I prefer an OLED display, I gotta say, the 403 ppi screen Xiaomi delivers below the Gorilla Glass 4 is bright, beautiful, and really smooth in use with little to no pixelation up close. I really like where and how Xiaomi placed the main headset speaker tucked in a small bezel at the top of the phone. It looks great and the sound quality is seriously good. It even outputs a little sound when in speaker mode. As this phone has no headphone jack, they make great use of the space with the second speaker. Wait, no. That space is actually taken by the bottom microphone in the 2-mic active noise cancellation that is common these days. The center of the bottom is the USB-C port used for charging and wired music connection with the included dongle. At the right is the speaker. I was a bit surprised though at the quality and range coming from the single speaker port. Check this out. The shiny ceramic back of the phone has a single landscape orientation camera bump, trimmed in gold that houses both rear cameras and a dual-tone LED flash. In the center, about 1/4 from the top of the device, is the fingerprint reader. I found the reader to be fast and efficient. I used it more than the face unlock option, which I'll go over later in this review. And then halfway down the middle is the Mi Mix designed by Xiaomi text branding in gold. The left side of the Xiaomi Mix 2S has only a dual SIM card tray, and there's no SD card storage expansion for this device. The right side has the volume rocker and power buttons. Each of these are clicky and feel excellent to use. The Xiaomi Mix 2S is going right to the top of the smartphone world with the MIUI 9.5 skin on top of Android 8.0 Oreo, all powered by a hardcore Snapdragon 845, which really beefs up the performance over its predecessor, the Xiaomi Mix 2. With industry-leading 6 or 8 gigabytes of RAM, depending on the model, the 64 gigabyte and 128 gigabyte models get 6 gigabytes of RAM, and the top-of-the-line 256 gigabyte model getting 8 smoking gigabytes. The Mix 2S should dominate the import phone market with this much power. My review unit is a 128 gigabyte model with 6 gigabytes of RAM, and as you see here, it scored better than every phone but the recently released Galaxy S9, only losing out by a little to that Galaxy. I'd imagine the 8 gigabyte version would sit right alongside or above the best Android can offer. The performance of this device shows in scrolling through menus, super fast unlocking, be it with the fingerprint sensor or facial recognition, and basically taking any app I throw at it with ease. For all you chipset peepers out there, this device has an octa-core Kiro CPU and a blazing Adreno GPU. You get all the best from the modern connectivity you expect in a proper flagship, including Bluetooth 5.0 and NFC with Qi wireless charging. It's excellent to have all of the hardware in the world, but if the software doesn't work, your user experience is going to fail. Good news is that Xiaomi Mix 2S designers paid attention to some well-known fruit company and included a brilliant and easy-to-use gesture system. Swiping up to get home, holding a moment to get to multitasking, it's just smooth and natural. I really like some of the inbuilt animations, such as when swiping back and forth, you can kind of see the page bending with your touch. Also, I really like when you delete an app, the app kind of blows up. I like it. As for using the phone as a, phone, it was as expected from a modern superphone. The sound was crisp and detailed, and others said that the active noise reduction worked impressively, even when I was at a busy restaurant. Gaming is fantastic on the Xiaomi Mix 2S. Here are a few gameplay vids showing dynamicism and fluidity only found in the best phones. Although I'm a bit of a crappy gamer, I have a lot of fun playing games, and my experience on this phone was as good as it gets. If you're enjoying this review, make sure to press that like button. We'd love to hear your thoughts, and if you prefer this phone compared with the Huawei P20, make sure to subscribe to the Gizmo China channel for more smartphone and tech goodness. As a professional photographer, I'm very excited for the largest and most notable new feature to this S version of the Xiaomi Mix 2, the rear dual cameras. Both are 12 megapixel, with one having an f1.8 wide angle lens, and the other having an f2.4 telephoto lens with a 2x optical zoom. There's 4-axis optical image stabilization on board, and even a dual pixel autofocus. These should ensure some crispy and quick photos from a mobile phone. The artificial intelligence mode is a fine addition and uses all of the phone's processing power to scan a scene and pick an appropriate shooting mode, be it landscape, portrait, or food. There's actually 206 scenes and 25 different modes that can be implemented automatically in AI mode. Pretty cool tech. I'm really impressed with the sheer amount of customization available. Let's start with a few of my faves in the camera settings. I prefer the 16:9 ratio in the camera frame menu, although you Instagrammers may prefer the 4:3 choice, and use the lower settings for contrast so that I can achieve the widest dynamic range and allow for greater flexibility in editing. The manual mode is pretty nice and useful when you wish to take full creative control over an image. Low light images weren't so bad in wide mode due to its wider aperture lens, but the telephoto mode, the images muddied quite a bit. The 5 megapixel front camera seems to be a bit left behind compared to the rest of this device, and actually from many other phones on the market. It's got a beauty mode that just does not look natural, and I don't recommend its use unless you're at the top of Mount Everest and then, you take a selfie with whatever camera you have. Now, as to the dual cameras, the wide angle can focus closely and with excellent precision, but I did have some focusing issues when I was in telephoto operation. The minimum focusing distance grows from about 4 inches in front of the camera with the wide angle to about a foot using the telephoto lens option. Here are a few shots showing the wide angle, then the telephoto in the same scene. You can see the camera's auto white balance actually changed when switching to telephoto mode, which actually to me gave a more pleasant image. In video mode, you get the time-lapse and slow motion options as a secondary menu option. I really feel those are better accessed in the main menu next to the video mode. The settings here is where things get intense. Lots of options, lots of new tech and codecs. Of course, this camera has image stabilization, just not in 4K. Here are a few examples of video, one in 4K and the other in 1080p with image stabilization. Which do you prefer? I think the 4K capture looks crisp and can benefit greatly from a mobile device gimbal to assist in stabilization. Otherwise, I just use 1080p just for the 4-axis optical stabilization. This is a time lapse I shot using a mobile device gimbal to help in image stabilization. Slow-mo mode has 2 options, 240 frames per second in 720p or 1080p. I don't see why anyone would choose the 720p. Here's a short video taken showing the travels of a fallen leaf. So did Xiaomi create the next top flagship? They got extremely close, and if buying on value, this is certainly the premier phone to buy at between 3,000 and 4,500 Chinese yuan. It's been an excellent few weeks getting to know this phone, and its multitude of features just make using the device a wonderful experience. I'm certainly looking forward to the next Mix phone to come, as it'll surely be killer.